Welcome to a conversation with me, Annette.
Nice to be here, Morten.
One of the things that I always like about this format is that this is actually a way to get to know each other a little bit, mainly to get to know you better, to be honest, right?
As well as your entire audience.
Maybe also that, of course, right? I was just wondering, because when we spoke the other day, you were relatively new in your position with HP, right? I'm not so interested in your position with HP just right now, but I was just interested in what drives you as a person.
Drives me as a person. It's interesting, we did the Gallup Strength Finders assessment quite a few years ago at HP. And so we've learned a lot about ourselves. And
that must be fun, right?
It was very fun.
Yeah.
And then we compare, with our colleagues and understand how we either are similar or where we complement each other. And so my number one strength is competition.
Oh, really? Okay. But I mean,
which does explain a little bit about myself. Achiever, maximizer. There was one relator, or I forget it was, but it really captures communication and driven by meeting people. So the competition. Always been involved in sports of some sort, and enjoy the hunt of the game.
I was just wondering when you say that, because without comparison, I remember when I was younger, I sometimes thought that my friends were slow. And then my mother said to me, maybe you're just faster. So sometimes you have to realize that people have different paces. I was just wondering if you are competitive and also now in a leadership position, does that mean that you sometimes have to take in yourself and say, well, balance my expectations?
Well, I don't think I lower my expectations of anyone, but I try to help the whole team rise up, right? So. I'm really driven by setting goals and meeting those and exceeding, and really that means understanding where someone else is at. Whether they're slower, it may be because they're more introverted and they're really taking all of the information in. And in a team, you need that type of person equally as the person who's really outgoing and competitive and driving, because it's the whole team that brings every type of skills together. So
I think that's very nicely put, because I was thinking that I'm 55 this summer, and when I look at my own age, I think that is what age has given me, that patience and understanding of the different values among people. But when I was young and unexperienced, I was just like, why are they so slow, kind of thing, right? So that was maybe, so it was not as a comparison. I was just thinking that sometimes if you have ambitions also on your team's behalf, it's like you have to manage milestones, you have to get things done, right? Basically.
Right. I think balance it with pragmatism of, okay, it takes time, and really listen to the engineers and their time frames, and then saying, watching for, okay, can we do a little better? Can we make it further? And I think so. Who am I as a person? I think you're right. You reach a certain age and you say, okay, it's not about me. It's about the team and about the goals. And partly, I choose to be at a large company because with all of those resources, you can really make a difference in an industry and really accomplish some really exciting things, which we're doing.
So you're also ambitious, not just on your own behalf, but also on the company you work for, basically.
Yes.
Right? Have you ever worked in a small company?
Yes, I did. The first job, career step I took after coming out of Harvard with an MBA was to jump into a startup. And so
that's totally different, isn't it?
It's very different than working in HP.
Yeah.
And we were the maritime distributor for Qualcomm, which was at the time a small company as well.
Yeah.
Now
it's
certainly is a different story.
Right? Yeah.
So got to be involved in a startup, and then within about 4 years, we took the company public, and then I continued to run the public company for 4 years.
So were you part of that transition, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must also be a challenge, right? Because that needs a lot of precision work, not just on the product, but also the measures and the skills and the organization, right?
Well, and it gave me a tremendous
and the compliance.
360 experience. As a startup, you wear many hats, and you wear all the hats and responsible for everything to get the customer happy and pull the technology together. In that situation, it was both hardware from Qualcomm, software that we added, it's a whole solution, and then we turned it to a device as a service back in the 90s, which was very
early
very
on, right?
new.
Yeah.
So and then setting up indirect sales channel, direct sales channel, being in front of the customer, doing the largest deals myself at a very young age gave me a tremendous experience. So yes, I've been in startups. I've been in a couple other startups. I still sit on a board of a small company that's startups of people that I worked with for 20, 30 years.
Nice.
And then the three largest companies. I was, before business school, I was in the accountancy of PW, Price Waterhouse, which now is PwC.
Yeah.
So that's a very large organization serving very large clients. And then I also worked for Mitsui, which is a very large Japanese conglomerate.
The reason why I was actually asking was I was just wondering if you have been because when we speak about the ambitions and also where you see the role of your leadership, I couldn't help think about in a small company, you typically see them as being very agile to market and changes. And I was just wondering if you are both ambitious and competitive, can you bring some of that, let's say, agile kind of operation into even a company the size of HP, or?
Absolutely, and in fact, I laugh because that's why I was brought into HP.
Okay, so make it more agile.
HP doesn't bring in many people at a high level. We tend to, get folks from
inside,
right
basically.
off of college, and many people on my team have been here since college, and we joke that they started in high school because they look so young. But
that's how it is from time to time, right?
That's right. But yeah, many people on my team have had 20, 30, even 40 years of experience with HP, which says something. So I was brought in actually for that agile thinking, having had the mix of experience of working for large companies and small companies, and I think we've tried to preserve that. And it's certainly in PageWide Industrial, the group that I'm running now, we are a small business within a much larger HP. So we've really been able to preserve some of that thinking, and being so close to our customers, being able to take their inputs
so you could get that aligned into the development.
Exactly. So,
and I was thinking that you mentioned yourself, of course, HP is a huge organization, and you mentioned to me the other day that you're I think you said that you were working for San Diego, but you're not living in San Diego, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, one of the things that we got used to during the pandemic is obviously the remote work thing, but does that also mean that when you run your team, you have people working in different locations, different time zones and everything like that?
I mean, we're all over everywhere, and so that we're close to the customer, and we're closer to the technology centers. So my team, the majority of my engineering team is actually in Corvallis, Oregon. And
is that also where you live, or?
I'm everywhere.
But you have a house address, right?
I do have a house. Okay. But Corvallis, Oregon, and San Diego, it's nice that they're in the same time zones. Those are our centers of excellence for our engineering operations.
For the PageWide things.
For the PageWide. Also, our Ink Innovation and Printhead Innovation is we have presence in both of those sites, mostly in Corvallis, Oregon, and then in Asia. And then sales worldwide, and on the packaging side of the business, the sales team reports directly to me, and they're split out primarily in Europe and in the U.S. So, you mentioned the pandemic. Pandemic taught us a lot of things, which I think were really good, and that's how efficient we were able to keep our engineering staff on our hands-on team very safe and working in our sites.
I mean, you pretty much developed the 2200 during the pandemic, right?
Exactly. So we had people who were hands-on and in the office. And then I don't think I'm ever on a call where everyone else is in one room. So we're on Zoom and Teams.
And it works for you?
It works, but it's not new. We've always worked
that way.
I
know it's not new, and I know that, of course, large corporates, I don't know how you feel about it, but I mean, when we come to an event like this, for example, or when you meet person to person, I think that sometimes the tension field that you create by meeting people is also very rewarding when it comes to developing ideas.
It is.
And I think that is maybe the lack of remote.
The world will never be 100% remote. We need those
so you need
come
that
together.
Tension, things like
come together, and actually it erodes the tension in many cases. I think that when we're too long remote, you lose that. We were drafting on the relationships through COVID that we had created before COVID, and now that's why the trade shows are coming back with such vengeance, with such excitement, is because people need to come back, get to know each other, and then we go and separate until the next trade show. but we do that with the teams as well. We bring the teams together, certainly around customer events. So when we have a customer visit, I'm very encouraging to my team, everybody go visit the customer, so then we can have a team meeting as well. So, yeah.
Annette, this was the business side. Do you also have a personal side, or is it all business?
No.
So who are you?
I have 2 sons that are adults now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just saying it,
yes,
right?
I started when I was in diapers working. And,
Okay. I have my oldest daughter is 29, so I have at least she's adult, right? I have 2 sons that are a little bit younger, but anyway, right?
Well, we're right there. So it's nice that they're on their own. Yeah. They're doing well, and then I love sports. I get outside whenever I can get outside. Okay. I love to be outside.
Is it like what do you do?
My love, and I wish I had more time to be consistent with it, is road cycling. So bicycling, road cycling, and during COVID I took up golf.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's the most frustrating sport I've ever played.
But you have an advantage with the handicaps. Basically, you always play even with the people, right?
Yeah, but then your pride kicks in. If you know.
And then comes the competitiveness again, right?
You can be competitive with yourself.
You're not in the game to lose, right?
Exactly.
So does that force you a little bit more to the golf course than you actually have time for? Or?
Yeah. But I found that being away for blocks helps actually improve my game.
Really? So I think it's like, again, without comparison, I sometimes, when I have an idea and I want to execute it, if I start executing without thinking too much of it, it doesn't get as good as if I sleep first.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
you have to sleep on it.
And that I think maybe is what you're referring to, is basically when you don't have to be on the golf course, because it can be strategy, it can be, okay, how do I actually hold the clubs, and these kind of things. Is that what you see, or?
I'm too much of a beginner to be. My friends are into. They've watched YouTube and they have a new golf grip.
Oh, of course.
And they're going to get out there.
They have a golf simulator at home and everything.
I'm like, I just want consistency at this point, and just muscle memory, get through the game.
When you say consistency, you travel a lot. Do you always pick the same hotels and the same airliners and the same everything when you travel?
It does tend to help, yes. It does.
Yeah, because it's like, even though you travel a lot, it has some kind of, I wouldn't say home, that would be exaggerated.
Yeah, it's more of just consistency. I mean, travel these days was very different than I used to fly.
Just before the COVID, basically.
Right? There's a lot of delays and surprises and consistency. So anything that just takes time out of the equation is helpful at this point.
Getting a little bit back to the ambitions that we spoke about, I was just thinking that seems that ambitions drives you a lot.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, of course, within HP you can grow a lot, and there's a lot of opportunities also with the new strategy of the industrial print. I think it should grow a lot of opportunities both on the development side of the products, but also on the business side, of course. I was just wondering, would you say that sometimes you grow out of your positions, or is it more like that you set yourself a goal and then it's like, and that's like that, or?
Well, it's the last role I had, I was in for 8 years, which is kind of like dinosaur years. It's a long time to be in a role.
It is if you're especially ambitious, because I mean it was a virtue in the old times to stay many years in the company, but if you want a career, it's like 3, 5, 10 years, right?
Exactly. And I think I would have probably moved faster if it hadn't have been for COVID. And then we actually in HP are implementing a program where we're rotating management around.
Okay. So that means
more frequently.
So that means that you can have maybe some of the ambitions you have can be fulfilled within HP. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And that's why if you ask all of my employees, why are they still here in HP? It's because there's probably not 2 days that are the same. And so the opportunities really are self-created as well. I've experienced the opportunity to, I was within the prior role for 8 years, but we were developing new innovations and breaking into new markets. And one I was really thrilled about was taking thermal inkjet technology into the life science space. And just yesterday, the press release came out that my prior team released to the market a very exciting product where we're identifying and jetting a single cell through a TIG print head, very tiny thermal inkjet print head, for drug researchers, and it takes us into proteomics and genomics. So
you can basically print a
cell into with solution into a cell in a titration plate. So then scientists can then test drugs on a specific one cell.
Instead of using mice, instead of using test animals to some extent,
instead of basically having clumps of cells in a solution.
Okay, so it's on an even tinier scale, basically.
It's a single cell, because a single cell will behave much differently than a clump of cells. Yeah. So you can see that I learned an entirely different market and an entirely different customer base, and that was very exciting. So I've stayed in HP because I've kind of invented and followed and jumped onto opportunities. Within PageWide, we have so many exciting target segments to work in across both commercial printing and packaging that I'm not going to be bored for very any time in the foreseeable future. So and to be able to tip the industry from analog to digital is extremely exciting.
So you won't rest until that happens, right?
No, and that could take me beyond retirement age.
I was just thinking because, I mean, you have also here at Innovationdays obviously had time to see some of the competitors in the market. And it's not because I want to talk about competitors, but I was just thinking that...
Because I'm competitive?
No, I was more thinking that, you will probably be the winner with your attitude, right? Yeah. No, I was just thinking that I think some people, not me, and I think people that lives in the industry wouldn't say so, but people from the outside see us as a dying industry, right? So the change going analog digital is, internally a very important thing because we can grow our business in digital. But at the same time, also within HP, you have competitiveness within HP when it comes to technologies, which technology will be the winning technology in the future. And I was just thinking that that momentum must also be quite interesting to address.
Yeah, it's and within HP, it's an and, it's not an or. Yeah. I mean, we do have laser products, we have inkjet products, we have legacy piezo products, we have
some technologies you acquired over the years, and some you developed for yourself, right? So I mean, so there's a lot of things to take into consideration.
Yeah, and what we see, our markets are expanding. I mean, the digital growth. We see the CAGRs, I won't say the specific numbers of how we see the market, but the CAGRs, the growth rates are very attractive for digital. And that's a tremendous amount of opportunity. It creates amazing job opportunities for our team who, just stay in their entire career with HP. And there's not an end in sight to the excitement that we see ahead of us.
Mm. And the more the competitors bring to market, the more you will fight to win.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And that is always better for the customers, of course.
I think competition is good because it's raising the boats, raising the waters for all the boats in that market, and there's a lot of innovation that we see. Taking the market, competitors take it a different place. I think there's a slice of the market for kind of everyone, and it's very exciting to see the innovation across. And then with our partners like Hunkler, to see the innovation that they're taking for the downstream finishing, and you see they foster and are very collaborative with their competitors. Some of them are here and invited on their behalf here as well. So.
Fantastic. Annette, I want to thank you very much for your time with me. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes,
I thought it was fun. So,
yes. Thank you, Morten.
Thank you very much.
Yes.